Hello, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading for the week beginning December the 11th through to the 17th, 2017. So let's start shuffling and see what comes up for the week. What messages the angels have to give us that will help us. And I'd say at this time of year, we need a little extra help because things are a little bit crazy right now, especially after the weekend supermoon. Am I right? So, here we go. You and your loved ones are safe. Now this is from the Archangel Michael deck. He is associated with protection, also strength, courage, confidence, but particularly protection. He is someone I call on when I feel unsafe. This card is saying you and your loved ones are safe. Now they are saying, particularly if you're a parent worried about the safety of your children for whatever reason, be it something specific or just the general kind of unease about the world, they are safe. So trust in that. What you can ask Archangel Michael for help as often and as regularly as you like. I talk to him literally every day, multiple times a day, asking him for help with various things. So what you can do is call on him, particularly at night. I often ask him to send guardian angels to guard every door and every window of my property to watch over us while we sleep. So that can be helpful if you are someone who struggles with sort of those core safety issues. It's, you know, base chakra or root chakra, whatever you call it, type of stuff here about protection. If we don't feel safe, that really has such a massive impact on the choices that we make, the way we go out into the world, how guarded we are, how trusting we are. And I know people say you can be too trusting. That's not the case, because your intuition will always guide you on whether people are trustworthy or not. If you trust the wrong people, that's not a failure of you being too trusting. It's a failure of you trusting your intuition, because you would have been getting messages about that person and you didn't follow them up for whatever reason. And look, we're human, that happens to all of us. But the main thing to know from this is that you are safe. So please try to reassure yourself you're safe. One great way you can do this on the regular is by breathing deeply into your diaphragm, which reassures your central nervous system and which then communicates to your entire body that you are safe. This is something Dr. Libby Weaver advocates a lot. I try to do it multiple times a day. You usually don't succeed in that, but certainly once a day before my meditation, I will breathe slowly, deeply right into my belly and then release it very, very slowly 3 times. It really helps. And if you've had adrenal fatigue, as I have, or any sort of stress-related hormonal response, you will find that a really helpful way to cool down those that sort of response in your body. Because, yeah, I don't want to go into the specifics of what happens with stress hormones, but suffice it to say, they don't help you that much. They help you get out of danger, but we're not really in the sort of danger we used to be in evolutionary terms. So Tuesday, release and surrender. So surrender is something that people mistake for being giving in. So if you surrender to something, it doesn't mean you're saying you win, I lose. It just means you're choosing not to fight it anymore. You're just choosing to swap your resentment or your resistance for peace. Now, there's a lot of times resistance is really useful, and particularly in these times when we're seeing so many people coming forward in response to injustice. Resistance is really powerful and it's great. So I'm not saying don't protest what you believe in or anything. It's more not about social issues. It's more about your everyday sort of stuff where you're trying to fight something. Perhaps you're trying to hold on to a relationship that's no longer working. Perhaps you're trying to control your partner's behaviour in some way. Perhaps you're trying to govern other people's sort of choices. And this is asking you to release that, yeah, very much about control, they're saying. Release that desire to control things. So this is something I struggle with. I'm a Scorpio. I have control freak issues. I'm certainly better than I was 5 years ago. And hopefully, I think, getting better all the time. But yeah, I try to say regularly, particularly in my meditation, I surrender to the universe, because ultimately the universe is better at ruling your life, running your life than you are. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use your own power to make things happen. Of course you should. Everything that happens is a partnership with you and the universe. but it does mean you choose not to exert influence over things that you actually can't control. So a really great example would be people trying to go on multiple dates with people because they're so desperate to find their partner. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a relationship, I totally get that, but trying to force it to happen on your watch is not going to work, because love is not something you find, it's something that finds you. So I'm not saying don't look for it, of course that action kind of, universe responds to action, but don't be too controlling about trying to make that happen on your time frame. Hopefully that makes sense. It is a delicate balance sometimes. Wednesday the 13th. Oh, beautiful. Mother Mary, expect a miracle. So Mother Mary is associated, you don't have, by the way, you don't have to be religious to talk to any of these entities at all. They're non-denominational. Mother Mary is associated with miracles primarily, but also conception. So if you have fertility issues, Mother Mary would be a great one for you to talk to. And in just general child raising, if you're a parent, Mother Mary can help you with that. But that's not the main message here, although if that's what you need, by all means take that message, because it's you're seeing this because you need it. You must always trust your intuition on what you need to take from these readings, by the way. So this card, the energy that's coming through is mostly about that miracle kind of message. Whenever, I know I flag this, whenever I see a unicorn on a card, which is often Sarah, kind of a common theme, that symbolises a miracle. So I'm always very excited to see that. We are quite, I don't know if it's arrogance, but as human beings we're quite limited in our scope. We can only ever see this much of the picture, but there's this much more. So we think, this is not happening for me now, therefore it never will. That's not how it works. So many things are possible beyond the realm of your imagination, and it's really important you don't get sucked into thinking that you know, believing in things that are not that, I'm not phrasing this very well, but don't get sucked into limited thinking. The universe can help you with things that medical science might tell you are impossible. Or just for one example, my sister, using that medical science example, was not supposed to live. She had all sorts of breathing problems when she was a child. She's just turned 31. So, and we really believe that it was the power of our prayers that helped with that, although ultimately it was always going to be up to the universe what her path would be. And she is the very epitome of miracle. And I know that you will know someone in your life who has had something miraculous happen to them. Perhaps it's a recovery from an illness, perhaps it's conception against the odds, perhaps it's you know, winning a competition, or winning finding something that they thought they were lost, all sorts of things. You get the picture, you know what a miracle looks like and what it means, so please believe in those. Don't give up. Thursday, oh, great, love it when they give me two. Okay, so here we go, Desiree. This is telling you to hold off on what you're planning to do. It's not saying you're wrong with what you're planning to do, but saying it's not quite the right time, and you probably need a little bit more information before you go ahead. I do get a feeling this is about some sort of relationship issue. Perhaps it's something that you are trying to force, if that's the right word. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. We've also got this card here, Indriel. I apologise if I'm mispronouncing that. Well, she's an angel, she won't care. Angels have no egos. You are a light worker, and this is just about reminding you that you've got a duty to spread love and light in the world, which is the one thing the world needs most, besides more water and, you know, less destruction, of course. But taking it away from that environmental sidetrack, what the world needs from us is more love. And I talked about last week in regards to the abundance card, how so many people leap to using money to express their emotions, but the world doesn't need more things, people don't need more stuff, but we all need more love. And you don't show that through money, you show it through your time, through your attention, through showing up to people, listening to them when they speak, not trying to solve their problems for them, not trying to jump in when they're talking to you with their thoughts about what they think and what they believe. the worst example of that particular situation would be when someone has gone through grief or heartbreak and the person will interrupt and go, I know just how you feel, my dog died, or anything like that, and some example that doesn't even really relate to what the person's saying. And it doesn't matter if it even does. It's not your job to compare or to, you know, to rush in with your stuff. Your job is to listen, to pay attention, and to let them know that you're there for them. So that's one way you can spread love and light. Smile more, be kinder. It's not rocket science. I'm sure you get how to do that. Friday, 15th. Oh. I don't know if that came up in shot. It was quite traumatic. That's a no from the universe about using this particular card deck right now. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, okay. Divine order. Gosh, we're getting some confusing messages here about timing. Divine order. This is about trusting that everything is happening at the rate it needs to. Now, when I say confusing, I mean we just got this message here about. Oh, I just bumped the table. Sorry about that. Oh, at 11:11, magic number. Maybe someone really needs to be paying attention right now. We just got this message about not going ahead with what you're planning, and then we also got this message about trust in the timing of how things are happening. Now that sounds counterintuitive, but they're actually running along the same vein. They're reminding you that the universe is in control, harking back to this. So trust that things will unfold at the rate they need to. Resist the urge to rush in gung-ho and try and force that to happen on your watch, on your conditions, and just trust that things are where they need to be. That doesn't mean everything's perfect. In fact, if you're trying to make big changes, I'd say they're probably not perfect, and that's why you're making the changes. But try to resist changing things that are substandard, because sometimes there's a reason they're substandard. The reason that we're uncomfortable is to show us where things need to move. The problem is the human body is hardwired to resist pain and seek out pleasure. This is why we go for sugary treats that raise those endorphins when we're feeling a bit blue, even though that actually doesn't help us and causes us more pain down the track. We're in a rush to get out of that moment, to escape that and avoid that pain, which is another reason diets don't work. So try to resist escaping the moment and look instead for the lesson and see how you might best move forward from it once you've figured out what's really going on underneath. Saturday. Oop. Manifestation power. It's all about action, really, isn't it? Or perhaps inaction, I guess, maybe. Strategic inaction, I guess. Inaction to get action, or I don't know, inaction to get results anyway. But this is reminding you of your power to make changes in your life. So it's all about how your thoughts have an impact. So definitely being positive is a big part of this message. It's also reminding you that one of the biggest changes you make happens when you do change your thinking. So if you're worried that you know, if you're paying caution to these messages about not quite rushing in with your changes just yet, this is where you can start. It's with your thinking, and that creates favourable conditions for change, and that's affirmation. So instead of going to the universe, I don't want to be single, try going, I am attracting a healthy romantic relationship. And that doesn't mean it's going to show up right away, but it does help create that favourable climate. I think I was probably using that affirmation literally every day for, I don't know, maybe 18 months or something before I met my partner. I'm not saying that single affirmation, you know, helped me bring him into my life, but it certainly was part of an overall change that I was making within my thinking to create that climate. Sunday, would it have been 18 months? Yeah, probably would have been. Yeah, I don't know. But as the cards have told us, timing doesn't matter, which is a bit difficult to hear if you've got a biological clock ticking, of course. But at least miracles happen, so we know that. Truth and integrity. Oh, and manifestation. I've already talked about manifestation, so not hard to see a pattern between those two. Why did they keep giving me multiple cards? This is really annoying. Not just because it makes it a longer reading, but anyway, truth and integrity. Integrity is one of those words that sounds like it belongs on a school motto or something like that, some higher principle, but integrity is actually not a lofty ideal. It's something that we have every day. So acting with integrity is when we choose actions, or we act in ways that reflect our value system. So if you are lying to people, you're not in integrity. And if someone is lying to you, no matter what the causes of that lie are, maybe they're trying to protect themselves, maybe they were hurt in their past relationship, whatever reason, the reasons don't matter. If someone is out of integrity, that has an impact on you, and you need to watch out for that, because that means if someone can't be authentic with themselves, they're not going to be able to be authentic with you. And that's not what a healthy relationship is made of, no matter what the causes of that lack of integrity might be. About telling the truth, about acting with integrity, and that also means making sure that you some of the ways that we get out of integrity are when we find ourselves, for example, comparing ourselves to other people. That means we're getting outside of ourselves and trying to bring or compare ourselves to others to make us feel better or to make them feel crap, or whatever the reasons are. But that takes us out of integrity. Not honouring what we set out to do, that takes us out of integrity. I'm sure you can probably find a pattern for that in your life. I know I can. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are, and be very wary, by the way, of any so-called spiritual expert who claims to be holier than thou, because we're all here to learn. We're all still learning. I certainly make mistakes still, and I'll own up to that, because that's what integrity looks like: owning your actions and owning your so-called mistakes. Although I try not to call them mistakes, because they're actually just lessons, and that's how we learn, by doing things that aren't perhaps the most desirable course of action. This is making a really big hand, okay? Please, no more multiple cards. So I think the major theme is around timing, around understanding when it's time to act, when it's time to hold back and wait, and to understand that the universe is in control. So that theme, this is quite ridiculous. So that theme around surrender is quite pertinent to that. So we've got knowing you're safe, surrendering, believing in miracles, bringing love and light to the world. I think that's related to integrity. Holding back in order to go forward. One example of that I know people use a lot with meditation, because meditation is something that you often don't nail, because it's something that you need to accept that you're going to be imperfect at. Is the arrow. So when you're being pulled backwards, that is so that you can go forward further. In archery, the bow and arrow, you go backwards initially, and it's the same with setbacks that you have. You get pulled back so that you can go further forward, for momentum. Divine order. I'm also just being told to mention these scales to you, obviously a symbol of Libra for those of you who are astrologically minded, but also a symbol of justice and fairness. So I think you can probably see a parallel between that and the integrity, fairness, the way we're treating people. Manifestation, our power to make things happen in our lives, and it starts with the way we think about things and the way we frame those desires in our minds. And integrity, acting with integrity, which is pretty much always relevant. That's it for the week. I'll post these on my social. Oh my goodness, sorry, I'm using a table that's really unstable and I keep bumping it. I'll try not to do that because I know it makes some of you seasick, which is obviously not ideal. I'll post these on my social media. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel. My Facebook page is also called One Grounded Angel. If you wish to reach me to book in a reading, you can do that via www.onegroundedangel.com. I am going to be available through most of the holiday period if you want to book in any reading, and it's a great time to do that as the calendar resets and we start thinking about clearing the slate and starting again for 2018. We're not starting again necessarily, but going in a new direction perhaps, depending on where you're at. Thanks so much for your love and support, and I look forward to reading for you again next week. Take care.